Hello, welcome to another episode of our live stream, My Journey to the Trinity. I'm late today, uh, very late. Sorry about that. I didn't schedule it. So, anyway, I was doing a lot of deliveries today, got home a little bit late. And then I had to go buy a doggy sweater, and it's hard to find one this late at night. So, anyway, just because I've been doing this prophecy week, I thought I would continue this. And the subject that I kind of wanted to address tonight is um, is the Antichrist. The Antichrist is mentioned in many different books of the Bible. He's referred to in different ways, different. I think Chuck Missler said that there's 31 different titles for the Antichrist in the Bible, and among them is, let me see if I could find some of them here for you. Um, this is a not so common one. There's some of them are very familiar, and people recognize them instantly, but some of them aren't so familiar. Let me just let me just show you. Okay, first one I'm going to see is actually in uh, Isaiah chapter 10. I know you usually don't look in Isaiah for the Antichrist, but there's a mention here, and it's a title that I've heard used for the Antichrist, and um, let's see, and it's verse 5 of Isaiah chapter 10. It says, "Woe to the Assyrian, the rod of my anger." And actually, here, the Antichrist is referred to here as the Assyrian. And this is used several times in the scripture. It's also, um, if we look in Hosea, it talks about the Assyrian. Okay, about and the Assyrian um, is welcome. Oh, radical moderate. Hey, what's up? Are you no? No, I am a totally pre-trib. Yes, I believe Verducci. Does that mean truth? Verdade. Verdade in Portuguese. God bless you, radical moderate. Good to see you, man. So, no, I'm not in Jerusalem. I'm in the U.S. of A. So, anyway, so Assyrian is a title that's used several times in the scripture for the Antichrist. Now, people say, well, wait a minute. I thought the Antichrist was supposed to come from the Roman Empire. Now, there is belief that the Antichrist comes from the Roman Empire. The Roman Empire, uh, because it says that he comes from, in Daniel chapter 9, uh, oh, yeah. Yeah, the guitar. Yeah, that actually happened in Jerusalem. That video happened in Jerusalem, uh, but it was when we were in Jerusalem earlier this year. So, yeah, it's Italian. Verducci. Yes, that's cool. Truth man. Verducci means truth, right? It means truth. In Portuguese, it's verdade. So anyway, but in Daniel chapter 9, it says about the Antichrist that the people of the prince who is coming, of the coming prince, the people of the coming prince shall destroy it, meaning that the people who destroyed Jerusalem and the temple are the people that the Antichrist comes from. Well, it was the Roman Empire that destroyed Jerusalem and the temple. So people assume, and I think rightly, that the Antichrist will come from the Roman Empire, because that verse says that the coming prince is from the people that destroyed the temple, the second temple, and destroyed Jerusalem. Well, that was the Romans. But the Roman Empire, remember, had two parts. It had the western part and the eastern part. The western part was the European branch, with Rome and all that. But the western part, the eastern part was uh, with what became the Byzantine Empire. And the Byzantine Empire included like Constantinople, it was Turkey, and that whole area. That was all part of the the eastern leg of the Roman Empire. And even though the Roman Empire kind of fell apart or dissipated, it never really ended. It just kind of dissipated a little bit for around 300 or so. Um, the the eastern part continued for another almost 1,000 years. The eastern part continued for almost 1,000 years. So, the eastern part was still very powerful for quite a while, the Byzantine Empire. And so Assyria would have been part of the Byzantine Empire. It would have been part of the Byzantine Empire, to where the Assyrian, coming from the people, from the empire of the people that destroyed the second temple. So anyway, that's one of the names of the Antichrist, is that he is the Assyrian. And let me see if I can find it for you also in Hosea, because it mentions it in Hosea as well. Excuse me a second here. Okay, let me just go back here. Okay. I believe it's Hosea chapter 5, actually, which is one of my favorite chapters in the Old Testament. I love Hosea 5. And it says, "Come, let us return to the Lord. He has torn us to pieces, but he will heal us. He has injured us, but he will bind our wounds. After 2 days, he will revive us. On the third day, he will restore us." So here, you guys, I think there's a lot of meaning to this. And I think there's even a little bit of where Jesus said, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up again." That this right here seems to be speaking about the resurrection. But I think there's something also here, that after 2 days he will revive us. 2 days, there's a verse in the Bible that says, to God, a day is as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years is as a day. After 2 days, that Israel was out of the land for 2,000 years, 2 days. And on the third day, they were revived in 1948. So let us acknowledge the Lord. As surely as the sun rises, he will appear. He will come like the winter rains. What can I do to you, Ephraim? What can I do with you, Judah? Your love is like the morning mist, the early dew that disappears. Therefore, I cut you in pieces with my prophets. I killed you with the words of my mouth. Okay. Oh, is this it? Oh, this isn't it. Oh, Hosea? Is it Hosea 5? Oh, is it? Shoot. 5. Is this Hosea? Oh, no. Oh, sorry, guys. This is Hosea 6. Sorry. Let's go back to Hosea 5. Okay. Okay, here. It was cool to see that verse there. It says, "Ephraim will be laid waste on that day of reckoning among the tribes of Israel. Judah's leaders are like those who move boundary stones. I will pour out my wrath on him. Ephraim is oppressed, trampled in judgment." Okay. Ephraim turned to Assyria and sent to the king for help. but he's not able to cure you, not able to heal your sores. For I will be like a lion to Ephraim, like a great lion to Judah. I will tear him to pieces and go away. I will carry him off with no one to rescue. Okay, so there you see the Assyrian, even though this has reference to when the kingdom of Assyria actually still existed, and the Assyrians were the ones who came and caused the first exile, the exile of Israel. They're the ones who carried the Israelites off into exile around 700 BC. And so there is kind of that symbolically about the Assyrian at that time, when the Assyrians came and carried off Israel into exile. But then it talks about the Assyrian, a specific Assyrian who comes and he punishes Israel, and they make a covenant with him. And so anyway, that's one of the names of the Antichrist, okay, is the Assyrian. The other one, which we talked about yesterday, let me just pull this up here, is Daniel chapter 9. Okay. And you know what? I'm going to go to my favorite version, which is King James. Now, my wife liked English Standard Version, and but I'm a KJV loyalist, and it doesn't mean that I think that they're the only one. I don't believe that, but I like them. I like King James. I memorized a lot of chapters, and it was all King James. So. Okay, here's another name of the Antichrist in the book of Daniel. Okay, it says, and know this in verse 25, from the going forth of the commandment to restore and build Jerusalem till Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks and 62 weeks. Okay, after the 62 weeks, the Messiah shall be cut off, but not for himself. See, I like the way it says that better than the NIV. And the people of the prince that shall come, the prince that shall come. See, that's the name. That's one of the titles of the Antichrist, the prince that shall come. Okay, and shall destroy the city and the sanctuary. The people of the prince that shall come. So the people of the Antichrist. So who was it that destroyed the temple and sanctuary? It was the Romans. So that the prince that is to come would be from them, of those people. So of the Romans. So, or of the Roman Empire, which could be the Assyrians as well. Okay, so that's another title of the Antichrist. Now, there's another title in the book of Daniel, which is the little horn. The little horn. It talks about these horns that come up, and the little horn that speaks blasphemous words. And so that's another way that Daniel describes the Antichrist. Another way that he. Now, there's also a very famous way that, and this is in, let me go back here. Okay, and we talked about this a little bit yesterday as well. There's actually 31 titles for the Antichrist, so I'm just giving you a few of them here. Okay, but Ezekiel, oops, this is the one that is very popular, Ezekiel 38. Okay, and it says, the word of the Lord, I have, son of man, set your face against Gog and the land of Magog, the chief prince of Meshech and Tubal. Now, a lot of people believe that Gog is the Antichrist. Now, there's some people who don't believe that. Okay, some people say that this is Russia and it's the prince of Russia. Okay. Well, we'll go ahead and see I think that there's possibility that this isn't the Antichrist, but a lot of people think it is the Antichrist. So, we can see the reason some people say it's not the Antichrist is because some people believe that the Antichrist is, first of all, is going to be from the Roman Empire, And secondly, they believe that this guy is the leader of Russia, who comes with an alliance of nations to attack Israel, including Iran and Libya and Sudan and a league of a bunch of Muslim nations that come to attack Israel. And so, anyway, but some people say that this is the Antichrist. Some people say not. So, that one's kind of up for grabs, depending on your interpretation of Ezekiel 38 and 39. So, okay, let's look now in the New Testament, some of the titles of the Antichrist in the New Testament. This is, again, and we talked about some of these yesterday, but let's look at Second Thessalonians chapter 2. Okay. Now this was the Thessalonians thought that the end had already come, that the rapture had already happened. But Paul said, "Let no man deceive you, for the day will not come except there be a falling away and the man of sin be revealed." So there in verse 3, he's called the man of sin. And there's another title he also says is to be revealed, the son of perdition. So he's called the man of sin and the son of perdition. Okay. Now there's another way, and I think maybe this is the way the new NIV translates it, is the lawless one. Okay. The lawless one who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God. Okay. So that's another title of the Antichrist. And then if we go to the book of First John, okay. Oh shoot. Okay, if we go to First John. In First John, we actually have the title Antichrist. It says we know that the Antichrist, and there are many Antichrists. And this is one time where that title Antichrist is used, but it's not really about the one that we call the Antichrist. Even though he is the Antichrist, we don't use that title about him as John isn't really talking about him, but he says many Antichrists have come. And who is the Antichrist but him who denies the Father and the Son? Okay, and so the many Antichrists have come. So it's not really referring to the Antichrist, but it uses the title Antichrist without really directly referring to the Antichrist, even though he is definitely an Antichrist, one of them. So, or the Antichrist, even though that's the title we use for him. So, and then there is the Revelation titles for him. In the book of Revelation, now there's some people who will say Revelation 6 with the writer. Okay. And I beheld a white horse, and him that sat on it. A crown was given to him, and he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, many believe that this is the Antichrist. He's riding on a white horse, and he's given a crown, and he has a bow. He's like an archer. He's an archer. And what's interesting about this is that Jesus also comes riding on a white horse. So we see in Revelation 19, Jesus comes riding on a white horse. But here, this guy comes riding on a white horse. And he's the first seal of the 7 seals that when Jesus opens the scroll, the first seal he opens, it says, "And I saw the Lamb open one of the seals, And I heard, as it were, the noise of thunder, and 4 beasts saying, Come and see. And I saw, and behold, a white horse. Him that sat on him had a bow, and a crown was given to him. And he went forth conquering and to conquer. Now, there's a lot of interesting things here in this verse. Number one, he's riding on a white horse, okay? Like I said, Jesus is riding on a white horse. So what's going on here is that he is trying to show himself as Christ. He's a false Christ. And what's interesting, you guys, look at the 4 seals, okay? Because the first 4 seals, first one is Antichrist. Second one is economic disaster. Wars, then economic disasters, and then diseases. Those are the 4 horses. And look at what Jesus says in Matthew chapter 24. He has that exact same 4 categories of prophecies. False religion, he says, don't be deceived, many will come by name. Then wars and rumors of wars, and then the turmoil, worldwide turmoil, and then diseases. Jesus speaks about diseases. So there's 4 different categories, and you find the same 4 in Matthew 4, and you find it in Luke 21 also. So that these 4 categories of prophecies it's very consistent throughout the Bible. You can even go in the Old Testament, and there are categories of plagues or punishments. And it starts with false religion. And so this guy is the false religion guy. And there's many interesting things about him, you guys. Number one, he's given a crown. He's given a crown. Okay, well, the giving of a crown, he's given authority. Well, who gave him that authority? You see, that is where the devil, it says it's the devil gave him all his authority, gave him his great authority. The dragon gave him his great authority. You read that in Revelation 13. Okay. Another interesting thing, and this maybe is irrelevant, but take it for what it's worth. He has a bow. Now, there's a lot of ways to translate that word bow. A lot of people think it means like bow and arrow, like he goes to conquer. He has a bow and arrow. Some people think, I'll just throw this out, and I'm not saying anything. You take it for what if you want. That bow is the same word that's used for rainbow. It's the same word used for rainbow. And we could talk about that, about the Antichrist. It talks about him, the desire of women, that he doesn't have. Some people think he's going to be a homosexual, because he doesn't have a desire for women. And the rainbow. And so I don't know. It could be. Take it for what you want. But there's another thing about the bow. Who else was an archer in the Bible? There was a famous archer in the Bible, someone who used bows and arrows. It was Ishmael. Ishmael was an archer. Could this have something to do with Islam? Could this have something to do with Islam? Went forth conquering and to conquer. Okay. See, there's a lot there. And this is believed to be the Antichrist. Okay. So, and then let's go to the most famous title for the Antichrist in the book of Revelation and in probably all of the Bible. And that's Revelation chapter 13. Okay. And that's where he's called the beast. He's called the beast. Okay, guys, there's something else I want to say about the white horse. This is where things kind of cross over. This is where, if you look at the Islamic eschatology, what the Muslims believe about the end time and about the Antichrist. Now, the Muslims have what they believe is the Antichrist. They call him El-Dajjal. El-Dajjal. And Dajjal means like the liar or the deceit, the dishonest one. Dajjal, the deceiver. similar to Makir, Dajjal, but the Antichrist is called the Dajjal in Islamic eschatology. Well, there's two, and what's interesting about El Dajjal is there's a lot of interesting things about the Dajjal, but an interesting thing about the Islamic eschatology is that there's three persons that Muslims are expecting to come in the end times. The first is El Dajjal. The second is the Mahdi. The third is Isa, their Jesus. Okay. And so they're expecting their Jesus to come. And it's not our Jesus. It's not the Jesus of the Bible. It's not the Jesus of uh, the true Jesus. It's not the Son of God. It's their Isa who's coming. And he's coming, he's returning to turn the world Muslim. But the Mahdi is the one that's interesting, kind of, because the Mahdi is the hero. He's the big guy of the three. He's the big guy and the most important. He's more important than Isa, okay? And, Ahmadinejad, the president of Iran, a few years, every time he would talk in the United Nations, he would talk about the glorious Mahdi. He says you could talk to the Mahdi the same way Christians talk to Jesus. That's what Ahmadinejad said. It was in an interview in the newspaper. He says, yeah, you talk to the Mahdi the same way Christians talk to Jesus. That's literally what he said. And they're waiting for him. They're waiting for the coming of the Mahdi. And believe me, what's happening in the Middle East right now, they are awaiting the coming of the Mahdi. And both the Sunnis and the Shiites, but the Shiites are much more focused on the coming of the Mahdi. They're called the Twelvers. There's a group called the Twelvers, because they think he's the 12th Imam and he's hiding somewhere in Syria. And remember ISIS, they had some theories about the Mahdi too. But there's some interesting things about the Mahdi. One thing it says about the Mahdi, these are some facts about the Mahdi. He's going to come on a white horse. The Mahdi is going to come on a white horse. What did it say in Revelation chapter 6 about the Antichrist? He's going to come on a white horse. What did it say? It said, okay, the Mahdi is going to come riding on a white horse. Okay. Okay, let me show you some of the pictures. Okay, it's in the book called Ka'ab al-Ahbar, a description of the rider on the white horse as found in the book of Revelation is indeed the Mahdi. So he comes riding on a white horse. Interesting. The Antichrist and the Mahdi both ride on a white horse. Other interesting things about the Mahdi. Other interesting facts about the Mahdi. This is where it gets interesting, guys. Now, Carmel is saying something interesting, that the green horse, some people believe the green horse is Islam. I've heard that too. You know what? I think the green horse is much bigger than Islam. But there's similarities between the green horse and Islam. Number one, it says that death and hell follow him. So in that sense, I think it's very similar to Islam. Okay, yeah, the white horse, the bow with no arrows, the bow rips no ammunition. Okay, Carmel, very interesting. Carmel has a lot of insight into the book of Revelation. Very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. And I looked, and before me there was a white horse, and its rider had a bow. Yes. And but you guys, the Mahdi comes riding on a white horse. But then there's something else interesting about the Mahdi. According to these mythologies, the Islamic eschatology, he's going to ride to Jerusalem, and he's going to reign in Jerusalem for 7 years. Interesting. He's going to ride on a white horse into Jerusalem, where he's going to reign for 7 years. Who does that sound like? My goodness. Who could that be? Yeah, so there you have the Islamic eschatology moving in. And you guys, Satan is no dummy, and he knows that what's written in the Bible is going to happen just like the Bible says. And so he's preparing people. He's preparing the whole world for the coming of the Antichrist. If you look at different religions, lots of different religions are expecting this man who's going to do some amazing things and unite the world and bring peace. A horse is a horse, of course, of course. You never heard of a talking horse? Well, listen to this. I am Mr. Ed. I used to watch that when I was in high school, you guys. Mr. Ed, very famous program. So, but an interesting thing, I know some of you guys, like in Hinduism, in Islam, of course, and they're all waiting for this man who's supposed to unite the pale horse. Damien. You're going to get me in trouble there, Damien. Okay. They're all waiting for this man who's supposed to come and bring peace. It's like the devil has put this. New age people are anticipating the coming. The Zen Buddhists, all of these different religions and philosophies, they're anticipating the coming of this man who's going to bring peace. And so there is this, and in Islam, this is so clear in Islam, they're waiting for the Mahdi. And the Mahdi is the big man. He's the number one guy, okay, is the Mahdi. But then, Verducci, that's funny. I'd play the theme of it, but the problem is I'm going to get blocked. I'm going to get in trouble with YouTube. But I played it before here on my channel, the Mr. Ed theme. What's interesting, you guys, about the Mahdi, okay, he's the number one guy. He comes to Jerusalem riding on a horse. He reigns in Jerusalem for 7 years. Okay. And so there's all these similarities that the Mahdi is actually the Antichrist. That the Mahdi is actually the Antichrist. To where when he comes, the Muslims are going to say, oh, he's the 12th Imam, and follow him. Now, there's also Isa. This isn't Jesus. It's not Jesus Christ. It's Isa. That's the Muslim Messiah. His name is Isa, not Jesus, not Yeshua. His name is Isa. And Isa is also with the Mahdi. And Isa, it says that he prays behind the Mahdi, meaning the Mahdi is the prayer leader, and the Isa is praying behind him, meaning that the Mahdi is greater than Isa. He's greater than the fake Jesus of Islam. And so who is Isa in the Bible? In the reality, he is the false prophet of Revelation chapter 13. Because remember, Revelation 13 talks about two beasts, the main beast and the false prophet. Both of them are called beasts, okay? But there's the second beast and the first beast. The first beast is the one who gets his head injured and apparently dies and comes back to life. Okay. Well, in Islam, you got the same situation going on here. And Isa is like the false prophet, not Jesus, Isa. And what is that? What is Isa supposed to do when he comes, according to Islam? He's supposed to break the cross. What they say Isa is going to do, he's going to break the cross, meaning he's coming to break Christianity, destroy Christianity. He's supposed to destroy Christianity. Well, what's the false prophet going to do? He's going to establish the worship of the beast. He's going to establish the worship of the beast. And he's going to make an image of the beast, okay, of the Antichrist, and make everybody worship him. Well, that's very close, and that's what they say. Isa is supposed to come. There's two things that they always say about Isa in Islam. They say two things about Isa when he comes back. He's going to do two things. He's going to kill the pig and break the cross. That means he's supposed to destroy Christianity. Okay? And so that's exactly what the false prophet is doing. He's establishing the religion, because the Antichrist is more like the political leader, whereas the false prophet is the religious leader. So here you got the Mahdi and Isa, not Jesus, or Isa of Islam. But then there's a third person of Islam, and that is the Dajjal. Now, they call the Dajjal, they consider the Dajjal the Antichrist. But if you look at the attributes of the Dajjal, it's very interesting what they say about the Dajjal. They say the Dajjal has one eye, okay? And it could be because one eye has been injured. But they say about him also that he rides on a donkey. He's lowly riding on a donkey. And he says that he is the Son of God. To where actually, that's a picture of Jesus, the real Jesus. The Dajjal in Islam, if you look at what he rides on a donkey like Jesus rode on a donkey, and he says he's the Son of God, and he's going to be killed. It seems that Islam has exactly reversed the true picture. They have the Antichrist, they have the false prophet, and they have Jesus. But they've reversed it. They've made Jesus the bad guy, made the false prophet the fake Jesus, and they made the Antichrist their big man, the Mahdi. So this is the Islam. This is how Islam has taken what the Bible says and twisted it. Okay, so anyway, this is it's fascinating. So anyway, let's continue talking about the Antichrist, what we can see about the Antichrist, because some very interesting. Let me just show you one thing, guys. I got to show you this just because I have to show it to you, just because some people are going to be angry with me if I don't. Let me see. Just 1 second. Okay. Oh, thank you, baby. My wife gave me a cucumber, you guys. Okay. While I'm looking for it, I'll eat the cucumber. I can't find it, you guys, but I will find it and show it to you one day. And that is, there was a picture of Barack Obama when he was in Denver, when he was doing his, this is when he was first running for president. And, you know, everybody was saying he was a Muslim and stuff like that. And right behind him was a big statue of a white horse. I'm not saying anything, you guys. No, I didn't say anything. So if they say he's in the Oval Office, don't go for it. Don't believe it. So anyway, so, and there's another interesting thing that rabbis did. If you look up the word Magog, Gog, in Hebrew, and look at it backwards, it spells Obam. So anyway, so tiger. Yeah, my wife spoils me. All right, you guys. So there's some stuff about the Antichrist. Now, you know, because we're talking kind of about the prophecy about the Antichrist right now. Let's just read Revelation chapter 13. This is the number one section about the Antichrist in the Bible. And you know what? I think we're going to start seeing stuff, you guys. Start seeing some of this stuff. Even though my personal belief is that church is not going to be here when the Antichrist comes. Oh, shoot. Okay. Let me go back here. So there's Bible Gateway, but there's the other one. Bible Hub is the one that Bible Hub is the one that doesn't. Okay. Anyway, it did open that one, so let me just go ahead and change it. Okay. Oh, you got to go, Tiger. God bless you, man. So, shoot. Oh, is that my phone? Revelation. Okay, let me just go ahead and read it here. It says oh, wow. This is NIV. See, I don't like the NIV. I'm just going to change it to King James here. Okay. Okay. All right. Let's read the Catholic Bible. Okay. It says, "Then I saw a beast rising out of the sea. It had 10 horns and 7 heads. On its horns were 10 diadems." That's crowns. "And on its heads were blasphemous names. The beast that I saw resembled a leopard, but it had feet like those of a bear, and its mouth was like the mouth of a lion." Now, what's interesting, you guys, about lion, bear, and leopard is that those were symbols in the book of Daniel. Remember in the book of Daniel, the lion, the bear, and the leopard? And one represents the Greek Empire, one represents the Persian Empire, one represents the Roman Empire. And so that this beast has elements of all three of those, the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, and the Persian Empire. All three of them are kind of combined in him, kind of having that is Islamic, the Greek mythology, and the Persian mythology, and maybe the Shiite element there too. And so he's got bits of all of these Okay. And what's interesting is that, if you look in the book of Daniel, you'll find the lion is the one who comes first, and then the bear, and then the leopard. But in here, in the book of Revelation, it's the opposite. It's the leopard and the bear and the lion. So what does that mean? I'm not sure exactly. But it says the dragon conferred on the beast his own power and his throne, as well as his great authority. Now, you guys remember, what did the devil say to Jesus? He showed him all the kingdoms of the earth, and he said, all these have been given into my hand, and I will give them to you if you will fall down and worship me. So he has this authority, this throne. And what did he say about his throne? I'm going to exalt my throne above the throne of God, and that's why he fell. Well, he's going to give all that to this man, the Antichrist, the beast. Okay. One of his heads appeared to me to have been mortally wounded, but its mortal wound had been healed. Now, this is the big deception, how the whole world is deceived. It looks like he's shot in the head. And it says, there's one place where it says that he's wounded with a little sword, with the little sword. I wonder if that little sword isn't a bullet. Okay. And it says he's wounded in his head, looks like he dies, and then comes back. And then it says, and the whole world then became fascinated with the beast, and they worshiped the dragon because he had conferred authority on the beast. Wait a minute. They didn't worship the beast. They worshiped the dragon. They worshiped Satan, who gave his power to the beast. And he said, who can fight against it? Who can compare with the beast? And this beast was allowed to speak blasphemous words and to exercise its authority for 42 months. That's 3.5 years. And this 3.5 years is the midway point. Remember, in the book of Daniel, it talks about in the middle of the 7, he breaks his covenant with Israel. So he makes a covenant of peace with Israel for 3.5 years. But then in the middle of that, he breaks the covenant and he sets up the image in the temple. Okay, the abomination of desolation. Okay, and then it opens its mouth to speak blasphemies against God, as well as against his name and against those who dwell in heaven. The beast was also allowed to wage war on the saints and to conquer them. Now, this is one thing, guys. This is something that doesn't happen very often, that God's people that there's someone's allowed to conquer God's people. Okay, he was given authority to do this, and it was given power over every tribe, people, language, and nation. All the inhabitants of the earth will worship it. All those whose names have not been written from the creation of the world in the book of life belonging to the Lamb who was slain. Okay, so whoever's name is not in the book of life will worship the beast. Whoever has ears, let him listen to these words. Anyone who goes into captivity he will go. Anyone who's destined to be slain by the sword must by the sword be slain. This demands patient endurance and faithfulness on the part of the saints. Okay. Then I saw another beast. Now, this in Islam would be Isa. Okay, not Jesus, Isa. I saw another beast, this one rising up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like those of a lamb. Interesting. What is Jesus called? What is the most common title for Jesus in the book of Revelation? The most common title for Jesus in the book of Revelation is Lamb. And what does it say about the false prophet? He's like a lamb. In Islam, it's Isa. But it spoke like a dragon. It wielded all the authority of the first beast on its behalf and forced the earth and all its inhabitants to worship the first beast. Now he makes the world worship the beast. Remember, the people naturally started, not naturally, but when they saw the beast come back to life, they didn't worship the beast. They worshiped the dragon. They worshiped Satan. Well, the false prophet makes people worship the beast, the Antichrist, and had been given to him who had been wounded by the sword and yet lived. Okay, it was permitted to give life to the beast's image so that it could even speak. Now, here, you guys, is the big thing. I don't know if you guys all know about this, about the hologram phenomena. I don't know. A few years ago, ABBA. Remember ABBA? Dancing Queen, young and sweet, only 17. She can dance. Okay, the only reason I really listened to that is I was young and foolish, and I lived in Sweden for 3 years. Okay, and they are the kings and queens of Sweden. ABBA is it. And when you go to the airport in Sweden, first thing you see is a big picture of ABBA. So anyway, but ABBA a few years ago, you know what they started doing? They started doing concerts. They started doing concerts, and when you go see the concerts, it's ABBA. It's the group ABBA when they were young. They're all 100 years old now, but these images are when they were young, and you think, whoa, what is that? And these are these holograms that they made, these images that they made, and they dance and they sing and they speak and they look like the real people. And they did this with Michael Jackson as well. They did it with they did it with a bunch of like dead musicians, to have concerts for them. And so so this is something that's happening, and they sing and they talk. And here the image of the beast was allowed to talk. And then this doesn't even, you know what? This goes into something else, but this thing does more than just talk. It also causes those who don't receive the beast's image to be killed. It's this thing, this image of the beast has the power to do that. And you know what I think about when I hear that? I think about artificial intelligence. This artificial intelligence thing that's going on that so many people are scared of. I wonder how related to this it is. This whole artificial intelligence thing, that these images, can talk, but he doesn't just talk. It says it was permitted to give life to the beast's image so that it could even speak and cause all those to be put to death who would not worship the image of the beast. It could kill people. It had the power to do that. So this image, you guys, and just think about it. Think about, they could bring back John F. Kennedy, who was shot in the head. They could bring back, any of the great leaders of the past, with these images and stuff like that. And so anyway, but John was talking about this 2,000 years ago, and but then here's the part. It also forced all the people, both small and great, both rich and poor, both free and slave, to be branded on the right hand or on the forehead. No one could buy or sell anything except the one who has been branded with the name of the beast or the number of its name. Here is wisdom. Let anyone who has understanding calculate the number of the beast, for it is the number of a person. The number is 666, 666. Okay. So here it is. How much of this is being fulfilled right now before our eyes? So much of this, the technology that is described here. The technology that is being described here, a universal government, first of all, because this guy is ruling over the whole earth, a universal government, a universal economy, a one world economy, an economy that doesn't use money, an economy that uses numbers on the hand and on the forehead. And this is being done in so many places already. In America, it's being done. In America, it's being done. You know, I've done several programs about this. About there are some states where some companies where they give you the computer chip in your hand. In Sweden, this is one of the number one countries doing this. And I say that with sorrow because I love Sweden. I lived there 3 years. But Sweden is like the number one country doing this. And there's another country that's also very big on this, Israel. Israel's very big on this bio ID or something. And you know what, you guys? You know what they're doing in California is, you know, when I used to live there, that they are they're requiring new IDs, and everybody's going to be required to get it in 2025. Everybody's going to be required to get this. Huh?
2024.
Oh, in 2024. It's a new kind of ID, and you're required to get it in California. And you guys, California, when Arnold Schwarzenegger was governor, how long ago was that? They were beginning to put implants in people for the health insurance. Arnold Schwarzenegger said, I'm not going to force anybody to do it. But you know what? The Antichrist does force people to do it. And Joe Biden will force. Kamala Harris will force. Okay. So this is what's coming down, you know, and this reminds me of another passage in the Bible. It's in talks about the Antichrist. And this passage is in the Old Testament too, but this is the only place in the Bible where we get a physical description of the Antichrist. And it's in Zechariah, I believe, 11. Let me see if this is it. Okay. Yeah, Zechariah 11. And okay. It says, woe to the worthless shepherd who abandons his flock. May the sword fall upon his arm and upon his right eye. Let his arm be completely withered and his right eye be totally blinded. So there we have a description, you guys, of the Antichrist, that he has a withered right arm and a blinded right eye. Maybe the right eye was lost when he was shot in the head, comes back to life, is healed. And maybe, this is one thing that Chuck Missler used to say, because the symbol, the right hand and the eye, the forehead, that the mark of the beast is maybe those wounds of the beast, kind of associating with the wounds of the beast, the right hand and the forehead. Maybe there's a thing there. But this forces me to show you what used to be my favorite TV show, and I'm not saying anything, so please don't say that I'm saying something when I'm not saying something. Okay. Okay. All right, you guys.
Esta gente tuvo la capacidad.
Okay, you guys can see this, right? Can you guys see this? Okay.
Small step for man, large giant leap for mankind.
1 minute. Someone's keying their microphone. Okay, stand by for systems. Okay, Steve. Okay, you got that. Someone's keying their mic. Let's get off the test frequency. Let's put it another 30 seconds. Nice and round. Roger. And 008, hold us heading.
Two cameras are on.
Winds are okay, Steve. Westerly at about 10 knots. Coming on. I'm indicating 004. How does that look? Looks good, Steve. And 3, 2, 1. It looks good at NASA 1. Roger. BCS arm switch is on. Okay, Victor. Landing rocket arm switch is on. Here comes the throttle. Chevy breakers in. We have separation. Roger. Input and outboard are on. Coming forward with the side stick. Looks good. Roger. I've got blowout. Neighbor 3. Major pitch to 0. Pitches out. I can't hold altitude. Correction. Alpha 4 is on. Track selected. Emergency. Flight call. I can't hold it. She's breaking up. She's breaking.
Steve Austin, astronaut, a man barely alive. Gentlemen, we can rebuild him. We have the technology. We have the capability to make the world's first bionic man. Steve Austin will be that man. Better than he was before. Better, stronger, faster.
Okay, guys. For those of you who don't know, that was my favorite TV show. It was called The $6 Million Man, LOL. What's interesting about that, you guys, first of all, how much did it cost to fix him after he got into the accident? $6 million. How many zeros is in million? 6 zeros. And then what were his wounds? His eye and his arm. We can rebuild him, make him stronger than before. Anyway, are these like seeds being planted in preparation for the coming of the beast? Anyway, you guys, I think Lee Majors is a believer. I saw him in a Christian movie. I love Lee Majors. He was my hero. He's my favorite actor when I was a kid. So anyway, but I don't know. I'm a little suspicious that this isn't like the psychological preparation, preparing people for the coming of the Antichrist. So anyway, guys, that was more funny than anything. But yeah, Cyborg. You know what? You know, it's funny too. He's cost $6 million and he runs 60 miles an hour. And he had the eye, he had the arm, just like the Bible talks about the beast. So I don't know. Maybe there's something there, maybe not. But anyway, but we do know that this is going to happen. And you guys, I tell you what, I think this is going to be happening soon. It may already be in the works, you know. And now I've always believed that the rapture is going to happen before he shows up. One thing that makes me think maybe we'll be here, I don't know, is that when they asked Jesus, what is the sign of your coming? He said, when you see the abomination that causes desolation standing in the holy place, let he who is in Judea run to the mountains. Meaning that the sign is the abomination of desolation, which is when the false prophet sets up an image of the beast in the temple. And that happens in the midweek, in the middle of the tribulation. So, does that mean that we're going to be here? I don't know. I still believe in the pre-trib rapture. Maybe we'll talk about the rapture sometime. So anyway, did we not have any Muslims here today? You know, it would have been interesting to have a Muslim. This isn't an apple, it's a cucumber. So I'm ready. Hallelujah. You know what? It could be today. You know what? The prophecies, you know what? We talk about it, and we've been talked about this for so many times that but this is real. You know, the Bible says how things are going to happen, and it's going to happen exactly like the Bible says it's going to happen. And right now, Russia and Iran, you know, one thing I was listening to some old interviews with in the 70s after the 1967 war in Israel and after the 1973 war in Israel. You know who was behind the 1967 war? Who was behind the 1973 war? Russia. Russia was the plan to both of those wars. That's Magog. That's Gog. And so Ezekiel predicted who is going to be attacking Israel. And they were attacking Israel in 1967. They attacked Israel in 1973. And so when Ezekiel predicts this coming attack from Israel and Iran, and then you start thinking, whoa. And then the other feature about Ezekiel 38 is that there's this alliance of nations called Sheba and Dedan. Sheba and Dedan being Saudi Arabia, the Arabian Peninsula, and the Cubs of Tarshish. Well, the Cubs of Tarshish, who is Tarshish? What we know about Tarshish is that Tarshish was a sea, very powerful navy, and that they produce tin. We know that they produced tin. Well, the number one tin producing country in the world is Britain, England. So that the Cubs of and they had the most powerful navy in the world. That's why they conquered the sun never set on the British Empire, because they were so powerful on the seas. And with and so the yes, Cornwall, thank you. And so that the Cubs of Tarshish are like England. And who are the children of England? The Cubs, Canada, Australia, America. All of us are the Cubs of Tarshish, along with Saudi Arabia. And what's Israel's big deal right now? They want to make peace with Saudi Arabia. So Saudi Arabia is not one of the attacking nations. Saudi Arabia is on the side with the Cubs of Tarshish, with America. And the president of America in Ezekiel 38 is a weakling, like Kamala Harris or like Joe Biden. Yeah, and when Israel's being attacked, they say, oh, are you really going to attack Israel? Are you really going to attack them? They're not doing anything to defend Israel, but they are talking, just like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And so anyway, so you guys, everything seems to be, the chess pieces are in line. And they've been talking about this, you guys, for 60 years. From the 70s, they've been talking about these prophecies. But we're actually seeing them being fulfilled. So anyway, guys, be ready, because Jesus is coming back. The real Jesus, not Isa. Okay. So anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. If you haven't done it, please do it now. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. Jesus, help me. Jesus, forgive me. Jesus, come into my heart. يسوع ساعدني. يسوع سامحني. يسوع ادخل قلبي. He loves you. We love you. And
If you have ever wondered why dull apologists lie so much, it's because on a rare occasion that they tell the truth, this happens.
One of the reasons I accepted Islam was the scientific miracles. I'll be honest with you. And now we know that this whole scientific miracles was absolute nonsense.
You're going to that the standard narrative has holes in it. That's what I'm going to say.